Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is January 3rd, and right now we are looking at the infrared slash visible satellite imagery. And you can see we got Washington, Oregon here. There's the state of Hawaii back here, and you can see the Aleutian Islands here, and you can see some cooler air out here. And this is going to bring a pretty significant snowmaker here for the Cascades as we go on in towards the weekend. We're going to dive into some of those details as we go through the video here this morning. Just got back to Seattle here last night, actually early this morning here. So we're going to try to make this pretty quick here this morning and buy ourselves a little bit of time here because the extended runs in some of these models are downright crazy here. They show some cold air making a very close pass at the Pacific Northwest here, and we're going to have some good mountain snows being built up. We have the potential for even some windier events here, power-packed gradients as these low-pressure systems try to make their way into the Pacific Northwest. We got big wave action here probably over the next 1 to 2 weeks as well. So let's just dive into some of those details here. Let's take a quick look at the Doppler radar. You can see we're going to have some light precipitation across the area today, a few inches of snow for the mountains there as well. But the big snowmaker is going to be coming in this weekend. We'll take a look at that a little bit more detail here in a moment. Taking a look at the NAM 3KM, this is the 12Z run here. This is what the Doppler radar should look like as we go through the day today. And you can see some of that light precipitation riding up over the Pacific Northwest here. And then we get another weak system coming through very late tonight into tomorrow morning here. And this one could even have a convergent zone here. Again, a few inches of snow for the Cascades with that one, and a convergent zone maybe hanging around some of the central sound there as well. But then the interesting stuff starts rolling in here as we get towards the weekend. You can just see the initial stages of that storm system here as we go through Friday afternoon, incoming here with some very cold air aloft. It's going to bring some nice mountain snow. Now taking a look at the GFS, this is the ensemble mean here at 18,000 feet, 500 millibars. We got Alaska, Washington, Oregon here. There's a system impacting California this morning here. That's spreading a little bit of light precip as I showed you back up over the Pacific Northwest. And we go ahead and scroll on in. There's that weak system as we go through Thursday. And then we get the stronger storm. The colder air aloft rolls through here as we go through Friday night here. And that's going to really bring some nice mountain snow, as I mentioned, here across the area. And then we're going to get additional shots here as we go on into the early portion of next week. We're going to have polar lobes taking their swings. It's kind of like a boxer basically just putting both his arms out and spinning around here. Where his punches will land, nobody really knows just yet. But of course, it's always a chance that we could include the Pacific Northwest. As you can see, as once we're 10 days out here on the GFS run here, it's a very strong signal for some cold air here across western portions of the USA on into the central portions of the USA and for central Canada. And you can see the ridging there with that north flow driving some of that cold air down to the south with it. Now taking a look at the GFS, hot off the presses this morning, mean sea level pressure, put that into motion. Of course, we got the weak couple of systems going through here. Then we bring that cooler air aloft there, and that's going to be the nice mountain snowmaker here. And you can see some of this Arctic air trying to sag down here across some of the Northwest Territories, the Yukon, trying to get down into BC. Then another system really starts to interact with this Arctic air here as well. And the GFS may be overdoing this, and again, that's why we're going to be cautiously watching this over the next few days. We're trying to get some model agreement before we start sounding alarms on any kind of wintry weather here into the lowlands. But we do have good mountain snows incoming here, folks. And now we're looking at 200 plus hours out. You can kind of see how this cold northerly pattern here in this Arctic air just continues to hang out through the extended forecast, as then it looks like the northeastern Pacific Ocean here starts to get active again through the extended forecast. And we'll worry about that as we get a little bit closer to it. Looking at the European last night, dynamic tropopause potential temperature here. So we're going to be taking a look at polar lobes here. Now, if we put this into motion, you can see here, I'm going to show you a Friday storm. There it is right here. You can see this batch of cold air here. Nice mountain snowmaker there. And then we start to worry about this polar lobe out here. We get another shot of cold air here as we go through the next week period here. And then one of these, this is the one you want here. If this sets up and takes a nice trajectory right off the coastline here of BC back into Oregon, Washington, then you can be talking about some lower elevation snowfall and some interesting weather scenarios, winter weather scenarios at that point. But you can see we're going to have some disagreement coming up here over the next few days. It's still a little ways out there. You're probably going to be hearing about this. You're going to be seeing low temperatures on your smartphone app, and you're going to be seeing snowflakes as well. So tomorrow we're going to dive into these details in a little bit more, actually much more detail at that point. I'm going to have a lot more time and get back into my normal groove of things by the time we get towards tomorrow. Here's the national blend of models, and I just kind of want to show you what's coming up here. So as we go through that Friday night system, look at some of these amounts across BC, Vancouver Island, the Olympic Mountains, all the way up and down the Cascades, Rocky Mountains, Blue Mountains out there. Some nice snowfall incoming as we head on in towards next week. I mean, look at this. We're pegging the scale here across the Cascades, and then you see the national blend of models start to hint at a little bit of lower elevation snowfall potential there. This is the national blend of model, so it's going to be a smoothed out look here too, or just how much actually gets down into the lower elevations. But definitely the lower snow levels are going to be apparent here as we move on into next week. And again, let's hope that nothing changes here and we just get these huge mountain snows. Really helps out some of the ski resorts in the mountainous areas. Here's the total precipitation here. We're just going to scroll out here. I'm going to show you what's coming over the next couple of weeks. As you can see, that precipitation really kind of targeted anywhere from Northern California all the way through Western BC as we head through next week. And again, subject to change right now, depending on the path of these polar lobes and just how much over water trajectory they get. Are they going to get into the Pacific Northwest? Are we going to get some warmer Pacific systems as we go through the extended? All good questions. Now, looking at the European last night, so I want to show you one of the potentials we have upcoming here. So let's just scroll ahead here. And then as we go through Friday, you can see the system. That's going to be that chilly one that rolls through the weekend. And then we have that next system most likely rolling through here as we go into the early portion of next week. And look at that wound up low pressure center there, a 972 power packed low. Powerful pressure gradient on the south side of that. Big waves, big wind potential with that. Huge mountain snows incoming here. And you can see this start to fill and weaken as it moves down Vancouver Island towards Washington and Oregon. But the Europeans been showing some version of this storm here as we go on into next week. So we'll be watching that one closely as well. Lots to look at here, folks. This could get a little bit crazy. As you can see, some very cold air across British Columbia and Alberta here and kind of interacting with that, and really just humongous snow potential across a lot of the Cascades here over the next 2 weeks. Here's the 6 to 10 day. Nothing to worry about too much just yet there. We're not talking about any huge atmospheric rivers, at least right now. That can always change on a dime here, depending on how that Arctic high sets up, or some of the upper levels of the atmosphere work out here as we go through the next week or two. But we'll watch that. But there still is that above average signal as we go through January 12th. This is the 8 to 14 day, and much of the West is going to be included in this here as we look over the next few days also here. But again, we're going to try to break this down a little bit more detail tomorrow. Some of the models flopped towards a colder solution last night, so we're going to see and kind of play through things today and see if that holds true through today and tonight. And then tomorrow we're going to take a really detailed look at that. Hopefully we have some model agreement to bring you. And yeah, wave activity here as well. You can see as we go through this weekend, the increased wave activity, then we get a little bit of a break here. And then there would be that big system I showed you, that 972 millibar low, really spawning those waves here right off the coastline and bringing that down all the way towards California as well. So yeah, active period incoming here, folks. And I wanted to show you this as well. This is actually hot off the press, the Canadian version of the model. You can see we're looking at the Pacific Ocean. You got the Hawaiian Islands. There's Australia. There's Washington here. So I want to show you what's going on here, and the models are in agreement that El Nino is on the way out. Here we go, March. You can see that tongue of warm water finally showing a little bit of weakness there right across the equatorial Pacific Ocean, right across the equator. There's March, April, May, so we just call it April. There's June, July, August, September, October, November. You guys get the hint here. Possibly headed back towards La Nina conditions as we move towards next fall and on in towards next winter here. So that's something else to look forward to here for winter weather lovers across the Pacific Northwest. Although, who knows, maybe during this strong El Nino we'll actually get some lowland snow. It would be an extremely rare event, but it's not completely unheard of. And we're going to continue to watch that over the next few days. So anyway, glad to be back home here. I'll get back in the swing of things here, and we'll do a longer briefing tomorrow. Hopefully I have some better model agreement. But anyway, I will hope you guys are having a good day. We'll do this again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.